All right, what's up guys? This is Ryan from Elevate Security. And now in this video, I wanted to talk about the first part of OSCP here. I'm going to be talking about a number of OSCP related stuff, especially for beginners, looking through the different steps there. We looked at in the previous video the offensive security's definitive list of the different topics that are covered in the OSCP. So I really wanted to take time to break down the different areas there, and especially focusing on the stuff that's going to be on the exam. For the lab stuff that isn't going to be on the exam, once you get into OSCP, you'll have the lab guide and it'll explain how these things work and how to do them. And then you just follow along basically and fill out the guide, and that way you can submit that for extra credit. So you'll learn that stuff from there, no doubt. But if you really just want to get prepared for OSCP, I'm definitely going to be covering the topics that are for sure going to be on the exam. But before I really dive into that, because that's going to be a several part series, before I get into that, I wanted to really make sure I cover the topic of note-taking strategies for OSCP, because this is really important. Because over the course of all of your learning, your training as a offensive security specialist, you're going to be learning a lot of different things, because like kind of on an as-needed basis, because the more practice you get, the more different scenarios you encounter, and those problems that you're faced with require different solutions and different, commands and payloads and little bits of information that you might not have known before. And so you keep compounding that and learning it. But one of the best ways to really streamline that process and really to make sure that you're retaining the stuff that you learn is to take and keep thorough notes. There's many ways that you can go about doing this. Really, what software you use to do it is up to you. The only thing as I would say is preferably something that is cloud accessible, so you can access it on multiple different devices, like your laptop, your desktop, maybe even mobile. Personally, mine's not accessible from mobile. Maybe it is, but I don't access it that way. I prefer to use OneNote just because that's what I've been using for a number of years now, but I wouldn't necessarily say it is the best. A lot of people talk about Cherry Tree. That's now a part of Kali Linux as well, I will say, and it seems pretty solid to me, but I have all my notes on OneNote right now, so I haven't really taken the time to roll everything over to some different platform. But Evernote is another one that I've heard a lot of people talk about. Basically, not only is this extremely helpful just as a pen tester, having these commands that you can call upon, but also for the OSCP itself, because when you want to submit your lab report for the extra credit, you're going to need to, it's really going to save you time if you're taking notes along the way. Then you can put the report together really quickly, versus if you didn't, then that's going to take you hours and hours. So for OSCP especially, it's very useful. But I've been taking notes that I've been keep adding to over the course of the last 5 years now. So definitely something I'd highly recommend. And just to give you a quick demonstration of what I'm talking about, let me go ahead and switch this over here. I'll just bring this up, right? So you have something like I have all these different topics, different areas that I've learned stuff in. Information gathering, I have that broken down as much as I can. Nmap, right? I've showed this on stream before, on video before. Just maybe I can zoom in a little bit. It's easier to see for you guys. But yeah, so I'll have different tools and stuff. Okay, Nmap. Well, here's what I like to run for my initial scans. Here's what these flags do. Here's a longer background scan, a UDP, longer UDP. Here's the stuff that you can grep. And if you want to do IPv6, because I encountered that before on CTFs, okay, this is how you do that. This is how you could do a ping sweep, find some low-hanging fruit. OS fingerprinting, all this stuff. I talked about this in my Nmap video when we did the active recon. So this is all stuff that I've showed you guys before. But look, this was all the way back 3 years ago that I made these notes here, right? And I'm still on occasion referencing them today. Now, I will say, Nmap is something I've used so much that I usually don't have to look at this particular note page, but if I needed to, I would have it right here to call upon. So I wouldn't have to be like, oh, well, how do I find where the Nmap scripts are? Or, again, well, I could just look at my notes and be like, okay, I can run this locate command with xargs and grep for default inversion and grep whatever service I'm looking for, and there we go. So it's really helpful to have these things you can just call upon. You know, enumerating NetBIOS users, just all kinds of different stuff. You just keep adding to it. It's not like I just created this all on the 16th of October. I just kept adding to it, and then it became very useful for me. So that is one thing that I would really highly recommend when it comes to the note taking. And then obviously I have notes on all the lab boxes that I was working on in OSCP. I can't show you that. Unfortunately, just because the rules with the OSCP, you're not really allowed to show information on their boxes and stuff like that. So I won't pull that up, but basically I'm just taking notes of how, like, what information that I got from the boxes, you know, how I exploited it if I did exploit it. And this is all stuff that you could do in Cherry Tree as well. Since I have it right here, why not just show you Cherry Tree? So if you click here, you can search it, and it'll come up. And this is just another note-taking thing you can do. It works similar to OneNote, a little bit different, I think. You add these nodes, and we'll just say, let's say like hack the box. Like say there's a box that we're working on here. Then you can add sub-nodes to that, I believe. Yeah, child nodes. So we could say recon. And then, so then we put all our recon information here. Like say we, you know, earlier we ran on Metasploitable 2, we ran our nmap command. We can just go ahead and see the output to that. Like we could just take that output and we could throw it over to Cherry Tree pretty easily. So just another way of doing things. Uh-oh, I did not copy that correctly. Hang on a sec. There's probably a quicker way to do this. I don't normally have to do this. But yeah, so something like this, look, and now it's in a nice readable format. We can see it. We got it in our notes here. Now, let's say that we found some credentials on the box. I mean, creds here. And then we can say, okay, we found some SSH creds on the box using HTTP user password 12345 exclamation point or something, right? So now we have our credentials there. And so, you know, you basically just can keep adding stuff like that. And it's similar to the OneNote format, right? You got a notebook, you got like a chapter or whatever here, and then you got your pages here. Yeah, so that's Cherry Tree. A lot of people really like this one. So, yeah, you have multiple options with your note-taking. Really, it's just about what do you prefer to use. That's pretty much all I'll say with that. This note-taking stuff, not too complicated. It's something you refine over time. You start out with nothing, and then you watch it grow over time as your skills increase, as your knowledge increases, and you'll always have a good point of reference. And the nice thing about doing it on these platforms is, you know, they're cloud accessible. You can access it if I go on vacation or something and I just have my laptop. I can still access my notes and keep on working, keep on adding stuff and accumulating knowledge, which that's what it's really about, the long game here. We want to learn as much as possible. We want to make ourselves as valuable as possible and, you know, just be as skilled as we can. So yeah, I hope this video was of help. This is just the first video of a series of content that I'm going to be creating for OSCP for beginners, or even if you're not a beginner, you're going for OSCP. The further we get into it, it'll get more complex, but we're going to start, in the next video, we're going to be showing basic rundown of Kali Linux, what's available to you, and how to sort of navigate this thing here that is Kali Linux. So yeah, hopefully this was of help. As always, comments down in the section below, questions, whatever, and I will see you guys in the next video.